how do I find the percent of a whole? How do I find a little percent, or maybe even a kind of a bigger percent, of a whole, which would be 100%? Let's look at a problem and see if we can't figure this out. What is 4% of 200? What is 4% of 200? In my head, I'm thinking, well, 50% of 200 would be 100, right? Because 50% is half. Half of 200 is 100. So 4% is definitely less than 50%, so it's going to be less than 100. It's going to be pretty small. 4% of 200 is going to be pretty small. What is it exactly, though? Well, the first thing we've got to do is we've got to convert 4% into a decimal. So we're finding the percent of a whole. We're finding 4% of 200. The first step we got to do, convert percent, that's that 4%, into a decimal. So what's 4% as a decimal? You should know it. You should know it. It is 0.04. 0.04. If you need an explanation on how I just converted 4% to this decimal, 0.04, 4% is equal to 0.04. If you need an explanation on how I just converted that, you need to go to your toolbox and find the video on converting percents to decimals. So 4%, I just changed it into its decimal form. 4% is equal to 0.04. My first step's done. My first step is done. All I had to do was convert the percent into a decimal, and I got this, 0.04. The next thing I have to do, step 2, is multiply the decimal by the whole. And you can think of this as like, this is the way I think of it, it's like when we multiply that decimal by that whole, we just grab as much as we need. So we're using this 0.04, and we're just going to say, well, I want 4% of 200, I need to just grab 0.04% 0.04 of that 200. So we're going to use this little grabber, and we're going to grab 4% of 200. So we need to multiply our decimal. Our decimal is 0.04. 0.04 times our whole. What's our whole? Well, what is 4% of 200? 200 is our whole, right? We want to find out 2% of 200. 200 has got to be our whole. 4% times, when we're doing multiplication, 200. To do this, we're going to have to do our decimal multiplication. So we line them up. 200 times 0.04. Well, we're doing vertical multiplication, so 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 2 is 8. New line, we got our placeholder 0, right? And we cross that out because we know that we just throw that in there automatically. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 0 is 0. And 0 times 2, well, that's 0 as well. Now we're adding. Now we're adding them up. 0, 0, 8, 8 plus 0 is 0, and 0. And because we're doing decimal multiplication, we have to remember to add back our decimal places. So we found up here we've got 0.04, we've got two numbers, 1, 2, that are to the right of the decimal place. You need to say, well, put my marker right at the end of this number, 1, 2, boom. So it turns out that my answer is 8.00, or just 8. What is 4% of 200? Turns out it's 8.